Obviously, phenomenal win. Phenomenal win. I think this is probably, I just told him in the locker room, it's the best thing that could have happened to this football team. We've been kind of getting our backs padded on since Myrtle Beach. And every time you turn on Twitter, there goes Gilmore down the sideline versus Notre Dame and bowl win, and Cam's 5-1 as a starter, and this team is defensively ranked this and that. That team's gone, and as good as we think we are, we can't live in the past. The thing that's going to determine how good we are this season is not the talent. We've got talent. I think you saw that in flashes. What's going to determine us how good we are is going to be our ability to stay focused, our ability to play penalty free, our ability to understand how to prepare, our ability not to be controlled by the circumstances. Well, it's first game, it's 1AA school or whatever it may be. So honestly, the best thing that could have happened to us tonight, we got a lot to get cleaned up. I told you guys on Tuesday, hats off to Albany. It's a good football team, and quarterback's a good quarterback. I'm not sure everybody fully understood that, including our guy. I'm talking in our building. But we got a chance to see it tonight. But I do think we taught ourselves some lessons. When we do execute, play clean, we can be pretty daggone good. And when we don't, we're not good enough to play with anybody. And I think it's a good example. One positive for them, they had a game last week. They knew who they were. They knew what they needed to do. They knew what the things to stay away from. For us, we didn't. And I think we learned a lot tonight. And being 1-0 is obviously better than the other side of it. So go back to the drawing board, get a lot cleaned up, get ready for next week.
Coach, what was that halftime speech to your guys?
Yeah, I told them it was the same thing we talked about before the game. We got to be emotional. We got to have emotional control. First game, I get to hit somebody. The people tell me, the world, the outside circumstances tell me, oh, well, we should roll this team. That doesn't do anything. You got to control your emotions. Controlling your emotions allows you to play with discipline, allows you to play with focus, allows you to tackle well, allows you to break tackles, allows you to finish blocks. When we did that in spurts, we looked pretty good. But when we don't, we're not. No one's good enough to do it the other way. And I told them at halftime, we got to get our emotional control. We got to go back to basic football, discipline, hands inside, finishing blocks, tackling well, communicating, and I think we did a better job of that in the second half.
Offensively, Coach, you get that breakout touchdown there on first play from scrimmage, but then the
worst thing that could have happened. Yeah. Worst thing that could have happened, because that just kind of magnified all they've been hearing. Wow, this team is going to beat the 75 Steelers. Worst thing that could happen. Obviously, it probably would have changed the course of the game. We would have played with a little more confidence, but it probably would have blinded the overall confidence, if that makes sense, because we would have felt like, oh, great, now we're easy, So the worst thing that could have happened was Ali goes down the sideline. I thought after we got the penalty, we had to come back, it was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, it's a little bit different. And I think, obviously, we'd love to have it, but I think there were so many examples in this game of where we can grow and learn, and I think that'll be good for us next week.
Sam Burton, a guy that has been around for a while, made plays, but 2 big sacks on third down tonight. How big was his consistency and just being able to create pressure?
Got the haircut.
Thank you.
That's nice.
I like yours.
Yeah, I think obviously sacking this young man is difficult, as you got a chance to see. And there were some opportunities where if we tackle better, we get him on the ground. And I think the 2 that Sam had were huge. Obviously, the one that Owen got at the end was huge. But we probably missed 4. And then we probably missed 2 or 3 read zones. So, yes, there were huge moments because those allowed us to be in a very good position, down and distance-wise. But we can go to show, hey, if we got 4 more, it changes the course of the game. Very similar to the opening play, right? If we score that touchdown, it probably changes the course of the game a little bit. We don't, self-inflicted. Takes it back, puts us in a different situation. So, same thing, 2 sacks were phenomenal. But when you go back, I bet you Burton's going to say, well, shoot, I could have had 3. Porter's going to say I should have had 2. Austin's going to say I missed 1. So I think it was good, obviously, to have those, but I think it's also a good teaching, tool to kind of look at as well.
Coach, are you heartened that you're down 10 in the second half, but you guys didn't panic? You did kind of.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the best thing that could happen to this team. Because if we'd have folded against them, we might as well just close the stadium down for the rest of the year. But we didn't. And what I was looking for was, okay, who is going to continue to stay focused on the task at hand? And everybody did. Nobody started yelling. Nobody started, come on. Nobody panicked. That's going to help us down the road. Obviously, there's things we got to get cleaned up. I mean, we were god-awful on third down. But you're god-awful on third down because you get 2 first downs, one's called back, one you fumble. Now all of a sudden you're in a different situation. But because no one panicked, trusted the process, trusted the system, trusted the coaches, played multiple guys today, gave everyone a chance to kind of prove who they were, gave us as a team to show. We've been down 10-0 before, we can battle back. I don't want to get in that situation too many times, though. I learned tonight who they were. They don't need to put us in that situation again. But I think it's a great learning experience.
Coach, what about Cade Conley? He had a lot of targets out there tonight.
Heck of a job. You guys asked me why we had 9 tight ends on the roster. Thought we were crazy. That position is such a flexible position for us in our system. And the kid just balled. I mean, the kid balled out tonight. But he's been doing it all camp. That's what I told him in the locker room after the game. The guys that came out every day in camp and were consistent were the guys that showed up today making really big plays. The guys that had up and down days in camp for whatever reason were the guys who had up and down days today. And I think, again, great learning example. You got to have consistent practice throughout the week. Everything matters. Monday to Friday, it matters. How much film you watch matters. How you take reps in practice matters. How you stretch matters. How you do herd jacks matters. How you lift, how you go to class. It all matters. And the guys that had consistent success tonight doing the same things over and over. Owen Porter was in here, 3-4 hours a day watching film. And he comes up with the biggest play of the game. Now, he doesn't have 8 sacks, but he gets one of the biggest plays of the game. And that's what it takes. And I think, again, that's a great teaching example for some of the younger guys. When I say younger, we got newer guys who've transferred in. When we say younger, we're talking about snaps, not necessarily what class they're in. Because some guys have transferred in and they're juniors, but they only played 6 snaps at the other school. Well, you're really a freshman. So when we talk about younger, older guys, we're talking about snaps. There's a lot of guys that didn't have a lot of snaps. So, great example for them. What you got to do in order to have any success, you got to put in the hours, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the film study, you got to do class on time, all of those things. So.
Coach, going back to Owen Porter, is it kind of poetic that it ended that way with his final home opener here in the Joan?
I don't want too many more of those poetic moments. So, no, I take that back. If they're going to end that way, I'll take all the poetry we can. But I think, again, the guy does a lot of stuff right. And when that happens, I think the football gods and the good Lord just take care of you. And I think he's a guy that's worked his tail off from the day he's got here. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I think, again, when you talk about trusting the process, doing what you're supposed to do, putting in the time, putting in the effort, practicing the right way, the game rewards that. I think, you look at some other guys who've done a really good job of that. The game rewards your consistency and approach. So.
Rasheen looked like he got his burst back. He seems like his old self.
Yeah, if I was him, I would have went over to B-Rock and be like, hey, look, when I get to you, just drop. But again, it's again, he's worked his tail off, and I thought probably as the game went on, worst thing could happen is, lead off batter hit a home run. Next time you get back up, you're itching again. And I thought, it's beginning of the game, first half, he was probably pressing a little bit. Then he calmed down, took a deep breath. But again, he's been out for a long time, and you guys have been telling him how great he is, and he's the back of this, and it's a lot of pressure. It is, and typically that's what happens. You press. You're trying, especially when you hit the home run right out the gate. You're like, man, this is gonna be easy, and now you're looking for it again, And I think, again, great opportunity to learn from. Great opportunity for him. This even if I hit a long one or I don't hit a long one, I got to be able to not press, not try and force things. Take care of the ball. All those little things.
Didn't see Toby Payne out there. Was that planned, or is there something going on?
No, he's out a couple weeks. Well, I don't know now, but maybe next week back. We're still trying to see where he's at. Last week we got twisted up, but we're expecting him back. Obviously not going to try and put him at risk, but expect him back soon. Hopefully, the medical team will let me know. They don't let me make those decisions anymore, so hope to get him back soon. Awesome, thanks guys. Go Hurt.